John. Hey, Harrison. Welcome to your Java class. It's Monday, and I did not get a chance to speak with you guys as to exact directions as to what to work on between today, tomorrow, and Wednesday for your Java class, as I will not be there. So that's why I'm putting together this video to help you guys with that. Alright, you guys, so this is the plan for this week. The 3 days that y'all have your E period that I'm not there. Monday and Tuesday, you guys will be working on your Lab 2 of Unit 5. And on Wednesday, you guys will have your test. Okay, and then you will have some more time after the test if you'll want to continue working on this lab. Okay, so let's just quickly preview. I want to give you a brief lecture for the material that you would need in order to work on Lab 2. So let's just preview on what we worked on. Okay, so in this Unit 5, you guys explored. The first thing that y'all explored was how to take different inputs. So we had our enter int, enter char, export out enter double, and enter string, right? So these are the different ways you guys were able to take inputs from the user. Okay, so with that, then we looked at control structures. We saw that our program need not always follow a top-down execution, right? It need not always start at the beginning and execute all the instructions to the end of main. There are ways for you guys to control what instruction you want to execute under what conditions. So all the instructions will not be executed all the time. So your computer will ask certain questions, and only if that condition statement is true will it execute a certain task. And that was your one-way selection which y'all explored. That was the if statement. So today we'll actually proceed with a two-way selection. So in our two-way selection, what would a two-way selection mean? Well, it's like a real-life example. So you have completely two different paths that your code would be taking, and they would never merge. Okay, so they're completely independent paths that if you do something, you go somewhere in the code, and else you do something else and you go another place in the code. And this is what a general template would look like. If condition, do something else, when this condition is false, will it go over here? Like here, if GPA is greater than 90, system.printout you're an honors graduate, else system.printout you're not an honors graduate. Okay, this is another example, and you guys would imagine that if the user had a SAT score of 1200, which is greater than 1100, you are admitted. And if your SAT score is below that, you are not admitted. Okay, so do remember the else doesn't have any condition block here, no semicolon, right? So the way that your computer would execute this statement is only if this statement is false. Right, so it's going to come here, ask this question. If this is true, it'll go here. If this is false, it'll do this. Okay. This is another statement. You guys would notice that over here, they just put an if, else, and this, right? They did not put any curly braces. I do not want you guys to be writing like this, okay? I want you guys to be always following a pattern like this, where if you have one statement or 10 statements in your if and your else, I want you guys to always be putting your curly braces. It just helps with readability. And follow your indentation, you guys. When you enter your class, you tab once. When you enter your main, you tab all the code once. When you are inside your if, this is also tabbed once. And then else, this is also tabbed once. And these are your curly braces. Okay? Perfect. Let's move on. So, well, what would this look like again? Now, this would do both these statements. You are admitted and orientation will start in June. You're not admitted, please try again when your SAT score improves for these two conditions, right? Okay, moving on. Multi-way selection. So that was a two-way selection, okay? Well, what if you want your code to take multiple paths? What will that look like in code? A real-life example would be something like a multiple choice exam, okay? This is the template. This is actually called your switch statement, where you have switch and then your brackets, and right here, oops, right here, this is not a conditional statement. This is a selection variable. And based on this selection variable, you're going to test if this selection variable falls under case, whatever case constant this is, or case constant this is, and default. If none of these cases fit, then it will reach here. You'll see an example and it will be much clearer, okay? So right here, like switch course grade, where course grade is just a regular variable. It could be something that the user would input. Okay, so it's a regular character variable in this case, and you're checking if it's case A, case B, case C, case D, case F, right? And if the course grade was case A, your points would be equal to 4. If B, then the points variable would be modified to 3. So remember, course grade and points are just regular variables. Course grade is a character variable and points is an integer variable. And as you follow along in the switch statement, the template is basically this. You need the word switch, your curly braces, okay? In your simple parentheses right next to the switch, you need your condition, your selection variable, and these are your selection constants. What course grade would potentially be, A or B or C or D or F. And if none of these cases are ever true, your switch would land up to your default. And there you could print out an error message or something like that. Another thing that is very, very important that people mistake, people forget to put is the break statement. So after every case that you write, you want to put in your break statement. And in reality, you guys, this is not how you will write your switch. You will never write it all in one line, okay? Usually you have your case A, and then in your next line, we'll see a better example for our formatting. But before we get to our formatting, let's try applying what we just understood, okay? So there's your character variable grade. It's export.enter char, so it's taking a character input from the user, and the user would enter any of these grades, right? A, B, C, D, F, A, B, C, D, or F, okay? Based on what grade the user enters, it'll do a printout, okay? But hey, where is our break statement that we spoke about in the previous switch? I don't see it over here. What are we missing over here? Alright, so how will this program behave if I don't put my break statement? Well, this is what's going to happen now without my break. So if the user actually entered the letter grade A, okay, all of those printout statements executed. So if I step back, all of these, 90, 100, 89, 80, 89, 70, 79, 60, 69, and below 60, all the printout statements executed regardless of whether it fell in these other cases or not. Okay, so this is how it's going to behave without your break. If the user entered C, right, it did C, and then it did everything else also below C because it didn't see a break. Would you guys guess would have happened if the user entered D? Well, I think you're on the right track. You would have seen a printout of 60 to 69 and below 60. So you guys, this is how your computer behaves when it doesn't see a break in certain cases. It does for that particular case, and then it will do everything else below that. Okay, so that's why we need to put our break statements in our switches. So in order to fix this, this is how we would do it. And that would, now it makes more sense. You enter A and it says 90 to 100. C, it says 70 to 79, right? A, 90 to 100, then, or C, 70 to 79, and then break, and then it went out of the switch. Okay. So they're reminding you that as you all are going to see the programs right now, they will not be able to show you all the program, they will show you segments of the program, okay? So let's look at this one again. Well, now this is how I want you guys to be following your formatting for switch, okay? I don't want you guys to be writing things in just one straight line over here. That's very, very hard to read. So this is how it will look like. Switch, simple bracket, your character variable, then for your different cases, your character constants, and under your case statements with an indentation, you guys will type in your printout statements. And here you can type in multiple statements. Previously you guys just saw one statement, right? But you can type in multiple statements and then put your break. But the break is important. And then finally, after you list your different case statements with your breaks, and you put your default, like if the user had entered something like Y, right, which didn't fall in any of these cases, it would have fallen in the default. I think this shows examples. So letter grade of B, you had this. Letter grade of C, it printed this and fair. And look at that. It entered a lowercase d, right? A lowercase d is not the same as an uppercase d, so it ignored all of that. and it fell in the default. But you'd be like, hey, I want my user to be able to enter upper or lowercase. Isn't there a way for me to support that? Well, there you go. Right here is a way for you to support that. Okay? Case A and case B. So it's like if it's case uppercase A or lowercase a, do this. Uppercase B or lowercase b, do this. But still we have our breaks and we have our default. So what will the output look like? Whether I enter uppercase A or lowercase a, I get the same output now. Alright, let's move on. So what do we think will happen here? What's different here? Now your variable is not a character variable anymore. It's an integer variable. Right? And that control variable, which is an integer, now does not have single quotes because these are not characters anymore. These are just integers. And that's how it can be. Your case statements can just have integers. So case 9, case 10, case 11, case 12. And as you test your different cases, again, you don't want to put it all in one line, okay? You want to hit enter, tab, and put system.out below that. And then break. So what do we think if the user had entered, let's say 9, freshman, 11, junior, right? These are all expected, you guys, right? And if you entered something that was not listed, below that, like 3, it says you are not in high school. That was the default. Okay. This is another way to write your case statements. Case 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you guys know, we will not write like this. We will usually write it one below the other. Okay? So this all probably intuitively makes sense, you guys. Feel free to like exit out of this or pause out of this video and watch your slides at your own pace also to see that this all makes sense. But it's the same format, right? The switch, curly braces, case statements, below that indentation, what you want to happen in this case, and end with a break. And then finally your default. If you guys have questions as I'm speaking, please make a note of them and ask me once I come back. Awesome. Okay. We will move on. Okay, so we saw, now this is another way of testing your switch. We saw a character, we saw an integer, now this is a string. We can even compare strings for our different cases. Right? So enter the first name of the child, Maria, and if the user had entered Maria, it comes right here and it sees a break. It displays this, older daughter, and breaks out. And like here, this is another example of combining multiple strings. This is a big program. I'm going to move on. And I'll let you guys explore this again on your own. But it picks the name of somebody, Braxton. I think Braxton was all the way here. It fell under this case, so it would have printed this is one of Shram's grandsons. And then Blake, and Blake is right here, and printed out Shram's nephews. So this is a utilization of the switch statement. Whenever you want to compare if one control variable could be one of many values, could be one of many cases. Okay. All right, this is the concept that you guys will need for your lab 2. It's your fixed repetition. And what are we talking about when we talk about repetition? We are talking about, hey, what if I wanted to write a program where, this is a silly one, but it says, eat at Joe's Friendly Diner for the best lunch value. And I wanted to display this 40 times on my console. Well, 40 times, I can copy and paste 40 times. That's okay. But what if I asked you to do this 1,000 times? Would you be happy doing it? No one would be happy writing a program with that. Okay? So now we reach into something called a fixed repetition for loop command. What is a for loop command? It is basically a looping statement that is able to control how many times a certain body of code needs to be repeated. So in this case, this is a general syntax. So you have the word for, simple brackets, and there are 3 parts in your for loop. Okay, so part